Hello YouTube, Loser Archer here. Well, today I got some of the worst news in my life. My best friend since college passed away unexpectedly, and it appears that he may have died right after I got off the phone with him on Thursday night. My head is still spinning even though I heard about it this afternoon, and I went to work and I worked my shift, and I put it out of my head while I was working, or as best I could. I want to tell you a couple stories about him that'll show you what kind of guy he was. This is the kind of practical joke he would play. He invited two friends. I was in on the whole thing, but I'll tell you as if I didn't know until the end. But anyway, he invited two sets of friends to come see the new pickup truck he just bought himself. And they showed up. He showed them the truck. Very impressive truck. Enormous Chevy. I can't remember the exact model, but it was a crew cab and a long bed. So, and lifted. Just an amazing four-wheel drive, shift on the fly, four-wheel drive. I don't think you can call it shift on the fly for a Chevy, but whatever they call it, and four-wheel drive. And it was so impressive that and it was black. And in California, you really don't want a black vehicle, but it looked too good to pass up on. And I said, you ought to name it Mbogo. Mbogo is what you call a Cape Buffalo in Swahili, and it means the Black Death. And he liked it, so that's what the truck was called. Anyway, they're going, wow, that truck is you. And I'm not going to say anybody's name in this, but he said, well, I got a little surprise for you, to this lady friend with her husband standing there. He goes, that's your new car, and he pointed to a Chevy Blazer, a red Chevy Blazer that was parked right next door to his truck, and she was gobsmacked. And this is a woman who I had never heard swear, and she went, what the F? Or as I say, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot? And our other friend, who wasn't in on it, is like clapping and applauding and going on and on and on and on. And he says, what are you acting like that for? And he points to this silver Jimmy that's on the other side of the truck and goes, that one is yours. And he almost fainted. When he bought that truck, he looked in his bank account and he had enough to be able to afford those two Jimmys. And the reason that he bought the Jimmy for the lady is that she was born with cerebral palsy, and it didn't affect her in any way other than the fact that it limited her mobility, and she was having a lot of trouble getting in and out of their small car that they had. So he got her a vehicle she could get in and out of easily. And the other guy, who was a friend of ours, had a jet boat, and he towed it behind, of all things, a Mercury Cougar. And it didn't do a really very good job, so he was given a Jimmy so that it would actually look right to tow the jet boat. But that's the kind of generosity this man had. And I could tell you story after story after story about his generosity, his forthrightness, his uh, strength of character. He was the kind of friend that most men not only wish they had, but they wish to be. And I can't praise him for that enough. Any person you meet in your life that you call a friend, if they inspire you to be a better person than you are in any way, they are worth keeping in your life forever. Cherish them while you have them, because they aren't going to be around forever. I knew him for over 30 years. He was the same age as me, actually 3 months older, but just 3 months older. I will indeed miss him. I taught him how to shoot a bow and arrow. If you want to know the physical prowess of my friend, one of the bows that I handed him was a recurve. It was a Damon Howitt Super Mamba, I believe is what it was called. It said 95 at 28, and it was indeed 95 at, well, actually, I beg your pardon, it said 75 at 28, and I scaled it, and it was 94 at 28. My friend had a 34.5-inch draw. At his draw length, it was 157 pounds. And he could pull it to the corner of his mouth to anchor with the same ease the average man pulls a 40-pound bow. The other bow that I got him was a 98 at 28 big Howard Hill Big 5 longbow. At his draw length, it was 127 pounds, and he pulled that with a great deal of ease. The only arrows we could find that he could shoot out of those two bows are no longer available. They were aluminum, and they were 24-40s. One finished arrow with a 250 grain point weighed 1,575 grains. I'm sorry, with the 250 grain point, it was 1,757 grains. The first arrow he ever shot out of the Super Mamba, he shot over the back of the 3D deer target he was shooting at. I had a backstop that was 7 3/4-inch thick sheets of marine grade plywood with 1-inch pine spacers between them. He shot through all 7, hit a 1972 Chevy Nova that was parked behind them in the right or left front quarter panel. He went through the outside wall of the fender, the inside wall of the fender, into the engine compartment, and it stopped against the engine block and flattened the field point out. Impressed yet? I was. I thought I'd seen it all. Uh, a line from Johnny Dangerously came to mind. It shoots through schools. But anyway, I will keep him in my mind and in my heart for the rest of my life. And just so that he has a little bit of immortality, I hope I live a long time. He never married. Uh, he was engaged, but his fiancee, back in his 20s, his fiancee died in an automobile accident. And he was one of those men, love once, love always. And he never found another. As far as we know, he had no children. Say a little prayer for his friends and family. Yeah, including me. God bless and happy trails, and watch your top knot.